Good morning. Today is Wednesday, 28th February 2018. I am your presenter, Javon Liburd, and these are your top stories. Nationally, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris is a no-show at another important regional meeting. Internationally, thousands of Venezuelans have crossed into Brazil to flee their country's crisis. And in sports, Roger Federer has been named World Sportsman of the Year 2017. We'll also have a look at today's updated weather forecast and Carib update. Now for a look at the news in detail. Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, is on the receiving end of public scrutiny yet again for failing to attend the two-day 29th intersessional meeting of the Conference Heads of Government of CARICOM in Haiti this week. This is the second successive CARICOM intersessional that Prime Minister Harris has been a no-show. The CARICOM Intersessional is a conference that examines the CARICOM single market and economy, particularly administrative requirements in the skills certificate process as it relates to the requirement for a police certificate of character. The conference also looks at procedures to which member states would adhere to the refusal of entry of CARICOM nationals and foreign exchange difficulties affecting trade between member states. Persons of the public have begun to question the Prime Minister as to his absence at such high-level and important meetings. What appears to be a trend by Prime Minister Harris of not attending these meetings and representing the Federation trickles over from 2017, as he missed several vital regional and international gatherings as well. These include the 42nd Regional Conference of the Caribbean, the Americas and the Atlantic region of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association held in St. Kitts, the Pan-Caribbean Partnership Against HIV and AIDS Forum of Regional Parliamentarians Forum in Kingston, Jamaica, Antigua and Barbuda's second annual Citizenship by Investment Conference, the 47th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank in the Turks and Caicos. Prime Minister Harris also missed the annual meetings of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund in his capacity as Minister of Finance and the International Immigration and Luxury Property Expo in Cannes. His absence from these meetings has prompted speculation at home as well as in the regional and international community that Prime Minister Harris is avoiding Caribbean leaders and the media on several issues. The driver at fault in the Frigate vehicular accident on February 23rd, which left several people injured, has been charged by police. Kevin Dyer of Wellington Road, Old Road, was charged for the offense of dangerous driving on Monday, February 26. Dyer was the driver of motorbus P4608 owned by Island Purified Water. According to police investigations, Dyer was traveling from Figure Bay towards Bastille. Motor taxi TA22, which is owned and was driven by Agatha Adams of St. Peter's, was traveling in the opposite direction. Before reaching the roundabout at Silver Reef, Dyer attempted to overtake when a collision occurred with the right side of the taxi, which was carrying several passengers. Members of the Emergency Medical Service and the St. Kitts Nevis Fire and Rescue Service were summoned to the scene, and a number of persons, including both drivers, were transported to the JNF hospital and treated for minor injuries. Internationally, Venezuela's economic crisis is fueling mass migration into neighboring countries. Hundreds of thousands of people have gone to Colombia, and many others are heading south to Brazil. Gabriel Elizondo reports.
In a makeshift encampment in the center of town, hundreds of Venezuelans who have crossed into Brazil in search of what they can't find at home: food, jobs, and maybe a better life. This is the city of Boa Vista, Brazil, on the border with Venezuela. That's where we find 19-year-old Thomas Brito and his wife, Cisnaret. For them and their newborn baby, Santiago, home is now a tent. In spite of the conditions, they're hopeful.
It's better here than in Venezuela. At least here we can eat. Here we have possibilities. You can find food and people try to help us.
She is only 21 years old and having to make decisions based on survival for her family.
We came here to try and find a better future for our child and find work.
In the last few weeks, about 1,000 Venezuelans have been arriving here every day after a tough journey across the border. Many are hungry. When a truck carrying food arrives in the park, the desperation is evident. On the other side of town, a gymnasium has been turned into a rudimentary shelter for 600 people. The conditions are prison-like. with only 2 washrooms.
The first thing many Venezuelans do when they reach Brazil is try to get a job. It's the first step in trying to earn money to support their families. But to work in Brazil, you need a permit, and that process of getting one used to take weeks, but now it's taking months because there are so many people that need work.
They come to the police headquarters to begin the process. Islaena Plaza was forced to come here by herself to try to find work to support her 3 kids back home.
There are no options in Venezuela. The option is only to leave.
The mayor of Boa Vista says the city is doing all it can, but as one of Brazil's smallest and poorest state capitals, it's struggling.
Boa Vista is offering all services we have to Venezuelans, but as a city of only 350,000 residents, we don't have the capability, either financial or through infrastructure, to deal with a situation like this.
As more people arrive, the strain on resources is likely to build. But Brazil, at least for the time being, does not plan to close its border with Venezuela. If it does, it would extinguish something else these people say is also in short supply back home, and that's hope.
And in sport, 20-time tennis Grand Slam champion Roger Federer has won the 2017 Laureus World Sportsman of the Year and Comeback of the Year awards. The 36-year-old Swiss won the Australian Open and Wimbledon titles in 2017 after nearly 5 years without a major. "I didn't believe I would ever come back to this level," said Federer. "This year I had was something else." Serena Williams took the World Sportswoman of the Year award after winning her 23rd Grand Slam in 2017. Formula One constructors champions Mercedes picked up the Team of the Year accolade, and wheelchair athlete Marcel Hug won Sportsperson of the Year with a disability. Also at the ceremony in Monaco, golfer Sergio Garcia secured the Breakthrough Prize following his Masters success, while recently retired Roma forward Francesco Totti clinched the Laureus Academy Exceptional Achievement Award. Brazilian football club Chapecoense were given the Best Sporting Moment of the Year for their response in adversity following a plane crash in 2016 in which they lost the majority of their team. Also nominated along with Roger Federer were Cristiano Ronaldo for football, Mo Farah in athletics, Chris Froome cycling, Lewis Hamilton Formula One, and Rafael Nadal tennis. And now for a look at today's weather forecast. A low pressure system over the North Atlantic will continue to generate above normal swells across the area. Meanwhile, low level divergence and low humidity levels will restrict shower activity. Therefore, weather today will be mostly sunny and tonight mostly clear. Winds are east-northeast 5 to 14 miles per hour. Seas are slight to moderate with mainly long period swells of 1.5 to 2.1 meters or 5 to 7 feet, occasionally reaching 2.4 meters or 8 feet. Beachgoers should guard against above normal surfs on the north and east coast facing beaches. Sea level pressure is 1015.1 millibars. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:28 a.m. and set today at 6:17 p.m. That brings us to the end of the Kyssfm's SKN News Now morning edition. Now for a recap of this morning's top stories. Nationally, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris is on no-show at another important regional meeting. Internationally, thousands of Venezuelans have crossed into Brazil to flee their country's crisis. And in sport, Roger Federer has been named World Sportsman of the Year 2017. Thanks for tuning in for another SKN News Now. I've been your presenter, Javan Library. Stay tuned. Carib Update comes up next.